Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti FAZLINA binti Abdul Samad and I'm from SR 2433B. Okay, today I would like to give information for you guys about human trafficking. Around the world, there are 20.9 million people who are victims of trafficking. Human trafficking is organized criminal activity in which human beings are treated as possessions to be controlled and exploited. 14.5 billion people are forced into work. 55% of them are women and girls. Today, I'm going to tell you about human trafficking and why you should care. First, I will tell you about types of human trafficking. Second, I will tell you about Southeast Asia tier placements in human trafficking in person report. And third, I will talk about the factor influencing the increase of issues of human trafficking in Malaysia. So before I touch about the main points, I would like to give you guys the definitions of human trafficking. Human trafficking involves the use of force, fraud, coercions to obtain some types of labor or commercial sex acts. Every year, millions of men, women, and children are trafficked worldwide. Including here in Malaysia, there are a lot of cases about human trafficking. It can be happen in any community. Victims can be any age, any race, any nationality and any gender. So traffickers might use violence, manipulations of false promise of well-paying jobs or romantic relationship to lure victims into trafficking situations. So basically, there are various types of human trafficking, but the most three common types of human trafficking is sex trafficking, forced labor, and debt bondage. Forced labor, also known as involuntary servitude, is the biggest sector of trafficking in the world, according to U.S. Department of State. And debt bondage is form of human trafficking, which is individual forced to work to settle their debt. So sex trafficking is disproportionately affects women, children involved in forced participation in commercial sex. So one of the third abducted children is being forced to work with the soldier to become a volunteer, which is illegally. So as you can see in the graph that there are three types of traffickings that being stated, which is forced labor, sexual exploitations, and other kinds of exploitations. So as you can see, the sexual exploitations is the higher exploitations that happened in 2017. The sexual exploitation first started to decrease, and when it on 2014 it started to increase, and it became the number one traffickings in between the all traffickings. And then for forced labor, the forced labor started in 2017. It is increasing, but on 2014 it decreased and become the second most types of traffickings happen in the world. And for other kinds of exploitations, which is for that bondage or organ trafficking, it is almost the same amount, but in 2015 it rose, and in 2016 it decreased. So as you guys can see, other kinds of exploitation is also high, but not as higher as sexual exploitation and forced labor. This graph is been taken by which is the source is the Counter Trafficking Data Collaboration CDTC, CTDC 2019. a majority of Asian countries were either listed in Tier 2 or Tier 3, while one handful were listed in Tier 1. In East Asia and Pacific region, only Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, Asia were listed in Tier 1. Southeast Asia remained the hub for human trafficking, the region of sources and destination country for men, women, children subjected to forced labor and sex trade. It is also a transit point for traffickers from other parts of the world. Two countries in the region are facing downgrade by the US State Department. Malaysia facing downgrade from Tier 2 to Tier 2 watch list when the government didn't even take the actions and remain silent. So one of the case cited in Perlis in 2015, which is the reason why sex trafficking rose high in Malaysia. There was 139 mass graves in 28 detention camps discovered in the northern state, which is Perlis. The victim believes to be Rohingya refugees. So that's why the reason human trafficking in Malaysia rose high. So Myanmar was also been downgraded to Tier 3 by the US State Department, and the trafficking in person reportedly pointed out the current crisis of which is Rohingya. That's why Myanmar human trafficking case rose higher. Overall, human trafficking situation in Southeast Asia is terrible. It is even more embarrassing considering that the fact in 2015, Asia signed the Convention Against Trafficking in Persons, especially women and children, at 27th Asian Summit. While countries like Philippines and Thailand are making effort to improve, others are sadly fading. Asians need to come together in order to make a strategy for human trafficking, because human trafficking cannot be fought alone. Next, the factor influencing an increase in issues of human trafficking in Malaysia. The economy in Malaysia was identified as one of the main reasons why foreigners come to our country to seek for better opportunities for employment and job. So the Malaysian economy, which is not growing rapidly but also stable, is one of the reasons why foreigners come to our country compared to other countries to seek employment opportunity. The economic stability in Malaysia makes the foreigner feel safe in our country. Therefore, they easily trust the job offers to work in Malaysia, and this gives room for irresponsible person to take things for granted. That's why foreigners that come to Malaysia are easily forced into a lie of irresponsible person. So this might raise the case of human trafficking in Malaysia. Next is the poverty in country of origins, which refer to poverty of human trafficking victims in their home. Country is also the fact that has instigated a rise in human trafficking issues in Malaysia. Majority of victims of human trafficking is in Malaysia come from the poor country, and in addition to living in poverty, they also did not receive any job opportunity to change the standard of living. So that's why they came to Malaysia to seek for a job, better job opportunity and employment opportunity. But this influencing the irresponsible person to take granted of foreigners that come for job opportunity. This is the reason that make high probability of being exploited as a victims of human trafficking by irresponsible persons. So my purpose of sharing these things for you guys is to make you guys care. Do you? So human trafficking isn't some far off problem anymore. It could happen to you, it could happen to me, it could happen to anybody around the world. So you don't necessarily need to act now, but as long as you have the as long as you care and you have the awareness to take actions someday, it can make the world a better place. That's all from me. Thank you.